Welcome to a special episode of Myth Informed. I'm your host, Brian Edward, and next to me is Sean Frasick.
How's it going?
So, hey, we're here today, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard that Andy Ngo, the journalist and editor at Quillette magazine, he also does some freelance things for the Wall Street Journal and some other outlets, Aereo magazine, I believe, was in Portland covering a protest and counter protest. I think there was a march by the
Proud Boys.
No, I don't think it was the Proud Boys. I would think it was the Patriot Prayer Group.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then there was a
Proud Boys got thrown in there though. Everywhere.
The counter protest was by Rose City Antifa. Now it's funny. To my knowledge, the people didn't come into to big contact. You know, the Patriot Prayer was marching far away, but Andy Ngo himself was attacked while filming the Antifa folk, and there's these videos of him like covered in white, where they've thrown powder like milkshakes with pieces of cement in there, like hit him with like attack gloves, which are essentially like brass knuckles. It's
just dogpile.
Yeah,
just dogpile them.
Beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
You know, it's very cowardly 12-on-1, which is like typical of Antifa. So we just want to do any super chats we get, we're going to donate to him. But we just wanted to shout out and support him because this is kind of bullshit. And the number of media outlets reacted with all the cynicism and an absolute smears and lies that you might expect. That went from everything from just trying to tear Andy Ngo apart on a reputation basis.
He's not a journalist.
The facts and in some cases saying that he deserved it.
Yeah.
And absolutely apologizing for the violence. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, we saw this, and it's tough because, you know, obviously we see some of this stuff happen around the world. It's different when you see one of your friends go through it, and no one was there really to have his back. I mean, it was really sad, including the police, and that's something that was pointed out. So it's always tough. Like, what do you do? You know, you're mad. What do you do? So what we're doing with this stream is, again, like Brian alluded to, any super chats I receive, we're going to go directly to his GoFundMe. Also, the lion's share of our audience listens on iTunes and Stitcher. We will have the GoFundMe link to his personal GoFundMe and the new legal GoFundMe, where I'm sure we'll talk about it in a bit, where his lawyers essentially going to sue everyone. They're going to be in the description of the video and the description on iTunes, Stitcher, and all that stuff. So again, and we're going to have people kind of pop in and pop out. Melissa Chen's here, I believe. Melissa Chen.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's all good. What do you think? Like, does Andy have a suit against the city, like for specifically the mayor, like calling down the police?
Hold on. Is my video working or no?
No, we're getting
getting the old Hangouts avatar.
Okay, is it working now?
It is.
Yes.
All right, perfect. All right, cool. Hi everyone. So yeah, what's your question again?
Do you think Andy's got a suit against the city or whoever's running the police force there?
I mean, I just connected him with a lawyer friend of mine, so I don't know if you know, that's something that I should at least be speculating right now on, but okay. I've heard that they're looking into it at least.
Right. No, it would make sense if you know the police have a certain duty to protect, and if they're not doing it, I'm not a legal expert, so I have no idea, but it would seem that the people that assaulted him, you definitely have a case against them. Yeah. Now, I think they need to be found first. Have you heard anything about whether or not those people have been found?
No. As far as I know, no.
Yeah, and I actually just heard an interview with his lawyer too. She said the same thing. And it's sad too. You know, one of the things, obviously, we want to see justice for Andy, but one of the things that I've been noticing on social media is this smearing of his character to essentially legitimize this attack. Like, he should have known better. He deserved it. He's a provocateur. He's this, he's that. I mean, that's really unfortunate from us who know Andy, have worked with him for a couple of years. Melissa, you know Andy. Is it like, what are your thoughts on just the smear tactics that are going on?
Actually, that is probably what aggravates me the most. It's it's an all-out campaign to basically assassinate his character. And anyone that's known Andy, at least personally, knows kind of, just what a warm person, kind, just well-mannered, just well-natured person that Andy really is. Like, he's not the monster that they paint him out to be. And he's also really generous and grateful in person. I'll tell you an anecdote that I do know about him that I think not many people know about Andy. Andy actually, so when he was in graduate school at Portland State, his father suffered a stroke, actually something very similar to what Andy had experienced with his hemorrhage. But just he was an older man, and he suffered a stroke. And Andy actually was kind enough to actually not just stay home to support him, but Andy left school. Like, he took a hiatus for a while, and when it looked like his dad was just on a very, very long path to recovery, he had to do rehab. He lost like motor function and had to learn how to eat and walk again. And Andy left. He left school just to be with his dad, just to be by him and be the filial son that he is. And that's something that I really, really admire about him. And it's ridiculous that I think, friends of his, people that actually know Andy in real life, like, had to come out and like vouch for his character. It's like, it shouldn't even have come to this, like, that's really where this is.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? I personally think that he's gotten a decent amount of coverage. I mean, his Twitter feed is big, but this really blasted his name absolutely out into the mainstream. And I think that a lot of people are afraid of what he's doing. They're afraid of a fearless journalist, and they have to win this, or else maybe other people will be as fearless as Andy.
Yeah, I mean, I the thing is, there's an emotional toll. Obviously, Melissa, you tweeted out Andy's appearance on CNN. Getting a little feedback there. Yeah, so we saw the CNN interview today where Andy obviously was still affected by this. So when you get jumped in this capacity, there's a couple things that happen. Obviously, there's the physical pain you have to go through, but there's also this emotional feeling. There's it's almost like you kind of feel embarrassed. You feel like almost ashamed in a way, like it, and then to have this be exploded across mainstream media of just videos of him just getting pummeled and not being able to do anything to defend himself, or smartly not defending himself in some cases. It's really sad to see them then go after the character. I mean, you're already dealing with somebody that went through this like trauma, and then now you're piling on and saying, well, he deserved it. This is just it's a sad tactic, in my opinion.
Right. So, Andy has obviously become a pawn in the culture war. I think that's really what has happened. Everyone was, I think kind of all sides are really guilty of this. I mean, not to, blame the victims or whatever, but we all tend to do this. We are very quick to blame, the side that we want. It's just going to feed our confirmation bias. Like, I want whatever, I want to reinforce the narrative that the side I don't like is bad. And so I am going to hype up on that. And I'm going to, be very stubborn and defending my side. And you definitely see that happening here with Andy's case. I mean, yeah. His narrative, what happened to him, where Andy stands politically, he is part of the culture war now. And in part also part of a larger media adjacent culture war, right? Like, Andy writes for Quillette, and you can also see it's not just Andy that's being slammed, it's also Quillette. Yeah. And pretty much everything that he's like adjacent to is somehow called into question.
So maybe that's what you need, that the tactic is to smear his character, because if you found out that somebody got beat up and then somebody later told you, well, that person was a rapist, then you don't even feel bad for the person, because you feel like, well, it was a bad guy that got beat up. Yeah. So if they smear Andy Ngo as an Islamophobe, as a person that doxes people, as a person that's actually fascist or adjacent to fascists, the idea that he got beat up is supposed to think, well, he wasn't a good guy anyways. So it
He's
just
dehumanized, right? We've dehumanized all of our cultural opponents, and I think, I think I said something like this in a tweet as well. I said, there are a couple of journalists I don't like. Like I don't align with politically, and in some cases I think they're malicious. I mean, like journalists that I just maybe don't align with politically, someone like Reza Aslan or CJ Wollerman, who probably I think is a little bit more malicious. But like someone like this guy, like he actually, I don't wish for them to ever suffer the same fate as Andy. Like that should be very easy to say. Like none of them should ever be beat up. Like that's just it's a no-brainer, and it surprises me for how many people it has become.
It's true. I mean, the same justification that's being used to defend it. I mean, we can kind of go through what the justifications are. That the same justifications that are used, you could say, well, then the Trump rally people are okay to beat up a CNN reporter because they're the enemy. They're going to dox us. They're going to do bad things to us. Like, I mean, all you need to do is create a conspiracy theory, say this person is bad because of X, and therefore we're justified to preemptively act in self-defense.
Right. I mean, Trump obviously doesn't have the best rhetoric against the journalists as well, right? Like he sort of had fomented this kind of us versus them, and I've heard people justify that also.
Right, but he even said something about, if somebody beat up, well, don't quote me, but that if something were to happen to ex-journalists, then that he would pay their lawyers' fees. Okay. That's a pretty ugly statement. I condemn that in the same way that I'm condemning the defenses of this. And I just want to go hear what they are. I'm saying that this was tweeted to me in a long thread today about, I was talking to a couple of people that were completely defending Antifa's actions. Mm-hmm. And they were saying, so here's the statement. So they write it out in a 11 steps here. Number one, Andy Ngo is not a journalist. 2, he has in the past lied about who he was to gain access to personal information about leftists and then shared that info with fascist followers. 3, he was attempting to do this on Saturday as well. That's why he was being chased away. 4, he was chased away several times before he was assaulted. 5, his fascist cohort came here from out of town and out of state specifically to cause violence. They targeted POC, openly queer people, and people identified as leftists and Antifa. 6, Andy's goal is doxing, not reporting. 7, there's evidence that these groups work with police to get away with violence. 8, it was a member of the Black Bloc who stepped in between Ngo and the others to stop the assault so Ngo could get away. 9, he was assaulted because he's dangerous and would not leave. 10, I'm not sure where I stand on the specific assault, but it's certainly, or whether or not it was justifiable, but it was certainly understandable. And then finally, you're not here. You're not a target of their violence. Shut the F up about how we're handling it.
Wow.
No, I'm not going to shut up.
Wow.
But what do you think? I mean, that's the defense. That he's not a reporter, but what he's really trying to do is dox them. And he's trying to dox them to other fascists to go beat them up. So therefore, you should be able to preempt this. Like the idea is, you could shoot them before they're actually on top of you.
Aren't they using the word dox rather loosely? I mean, is Andy ever revealing information about where people actually live? Because that's not what's happening, right? He's like, by dox, I think they mean like, he took pictures of the Antifa members who were not wearing the mask. That's what they mean by dox.
But I think the way they would rationalize that is like, if you have a photo of somebody get on the internet, then there's a lot of people on the internet that can find out who that person is. For example, like all the people that marched at Charlottesville's, their photos everywhere, all over the internet. All those people were eventually doxed. So I don't think the journalists that were taking the pictures did the doxing. But once the pictures get out there, then other people do the doxing. So I think that's Antifa's case. They're saying that's why you're not allowed to take pictures of us, because they'll dox us.
But that's kind of also what journalists do, which is, take pictures, reveal who. I mean, I don't know if that is what is defined as doxing now. I mean, technically, all the cameras around are, you know, surveillance cameras everywhere. Doxing is continuous. Yeah. That's the word that we want to use because it seems like that is being used to taint Andy or his actions.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, we're doxing you right now by having you on, right?
Well, but even the first claim, Andy No is not a journalist. Number one.
No.
I mean, this is just
that's flat out.
This assertion.
No, that's flat out wrong. Andy's actually been published by the National Review, by the Wall Street Journal, by Quillette. Like these are these are not just blogs. These are not just whatever pundit blog that you've never heard of. These are national newspapers, and he's published, and he has bylines.
Editor of the paper, I believe at Portland State.
Correct.
When he was there too. So there's a long history back before a lot of people even knew who Andy was of being a journalist.
And also, does that mean that if he wasn't, it was okay to get socked in the face?
Right. Well, and that's the thing. I think that's, and the fact that he's documenting this and showcasing the actual behavior and and the actions that are happening, that's why they're so upset. And you know, obviously, if you're wearing masks because you know you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing in the first place. Secondly, you have someone like Andy who's relentless and is going to continue to document what you're doing that's illegal. I mean, that, you know, I think that, and we saw the warning that they gave him that said, hey, if you show up to this thing, we are going to assault you. And I mean, who bullies journalists like that? You know, this is,
I mean, yeah, would
outrageous.
it be cool for Trump to tell like Adam Schiff that if you show up, expect to get your ass beat?
Yeah.
To tell Acosta like you're gonna get a beat down if you show up at my rally? Like no, we wouldn't tolerate that.
I saw a counterclaim though that somehow why weren't you angry when the Proud Boys or the Patriot whatever group it was that why weren't you angry when they published a journalist kill list? And I was like, where is this list? I haven't seen it. But yeah, I'm getting pushback like that constantly. It's like,
yeah, we would be upset with that just as much.
And so they're asserting that there's a kill list out there. Claire Lane tweeted out that she can't find any evidence of this. I don't see it either.
I couldn't either. But there's this, you know, if you want to bash something, you have to equally bash something like on the other side, or else I will not take your critique seriously.
No.
There's no moral weight because of that. That's kind of ridiculous.
We have Keith Wynn here for $5. Thank you so much. Disappointed that most of the 2020 Dems didn't condemn Antifa or offer sympathies for Andy. Yang and Swalwell did, but still didn't condemn Antifa.
Right. Because, I mean, we all also know the counter argument to that, which is we saw a nation sort of, you know, react quite aggressively when there was a hate crime, right?
Yeah.
For which there was no evidence. And also, like in the case of the Covington boys, where it was just a video of a boy wearing a MAGA hat smirking, and that was enough to cause every major blue check journalist to have an opinion on it, to condemn it. Right? They were very quick to condemn it. And the question here is, to CNN's credit, they did it. Jake Tapper did. But it's a minority. It really is a minority. Yeah. And some people are doing the work tracking who's saying what, who's condemning things. And there definitely is some sort of disparity, but it really comes down to we want to feed our narrative of the world, and we're going to only search for the evidence that confirms it. It's sad, but we all do it.
Yeah, and and even, you know, even though we can call into question their character assassination, it's effective. You know, somebody that doesn't know Andy like we do, is the kind, soft-spoken, really gentle person, just sees these headlines or these, you know, these smear campaigns, and even though they may stand against it, they're still a little like, ugh, you know, they just don't want to touch it. And it's really sad.
I roomed with Andy at the Kilroy event, and we went down there, and I got to talk to him a lot, and he's soft-spoken, extraordinarily polite.
Well, he was at our last two events.
Tons of questions. Yeah. He was very, very inquisitive.
Yeah.
And your wife was like, wow, he's just
he's a journalist.
He's a journalist.
He's a journalist.
And he doesn't turn it off, right?
Yeah,
so he was peppering me with questions at lunch. You know, yes, this is just what he loves to do, and that's great.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop in real quick. Miles Kinslow, $5. Thank you. Hey guys, thank you for the stream. Hope this helps. rooting for Andy. Wish him well. Sue the Portland to the Stone Age. Yeah. Sean Whiteland, $2. Melissa Chen's interview on Malice's. You're welcome.
What's that, Melissa?
Is that out yet?
I'm not sure.
I had no idea. I mean, I taped it with him on Friday, so I don't know. I really like Michael, actually. He's yeah. When he got on my radar, I started reading his books. I was like, this guy is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Who was that? Tell us about this.
Michael Malice?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's interesting. He might be one of your guys' type, IDW, but he's got really refreshing political views, and he's really funny on Twitter.
I do not know him. I'll have to look him up.
He's kind of like Dave Rubin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, similar talk show host, but he's a self-described anarchist, which makes him interesting. Born in the Soviet Union. Anyway, that's not about him. He's gonna probably like that I'm talking about him. But yeah, this is about Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sarah, Leah for $50. Thank you, Sarah. This is so sweet of you guys to do.
Sarah,
I hope he is okay after that brain bleed. It's sad, and the other thing I saw.
Did he get a brain?
The technical term is a subarachnoid hemorrhage.
Hemorrhage, yeah. Brian, you would know all about this.
Wow. Was subarachnoid or subdural hemorrhage?
Sorry?
Is subarachnoid hemorrhage is what he got?
That's the diagnosis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's is that Brian?
Yeah,
give us
like
your
well, I mean, you can have everything from extreme to severe, but yeah, that can be lethal.
It could be. Yeah, many people don't recover. I mean, the prognosis actually for this particular disease is actually really terrible.
Yeah, no, when you get a brain bleed, then you can have all kinds of swelling, right? The brain is a closed box. So if you have a lot of swelling, it's starting to push things around. You can create ischemic stroke, or you can herniate the brain. And what happens is that the top of the brain pushes down into the brainstem. What do you think happens then?
Well, I don't think the intra-pressure mustn't have been that.
Correct. I mean, there's all kinds of levels of these, but you can have very severe SAH and you're in enormously bad prognosis. If they were,
yes.
If they were really worried about extreme pressure, they'd put what they call an ICP monitor in, and that
Right.
measure the pressure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, bottom line, they forced him to stay overnight at the hospital. I mean, and what I'm seeing on Twitter, it's some of the blue check marks are saying, "Oh, look, he miraculously healed to go on CNN." It's like, first of all, we saw him on CNN. He definitely wasn't the Andy that we know.
Yeah.
Secondly,
yeah.
Secondly, the guy he is just a journalist at heart. That's this is what the guy does, and instead of focusing on the bigger issue, it's just
and that's
sad.
the thing. Like we talk about concussion and sports injury and especially in football, and trying to make better helmets to limit this out, and we're really worried about concussion. Some people are saying we shouldn't even have football because of concussion, and they're sitting there laughing at the next level up, which is a brain bleed.
Right.
I mean, wow. Okay, well then I never want to hear them talk about sports injuries ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad, and we did this again. We want to do this to kind of help curb some of that false narrative around his character. I mean, like I was saying before, he was at the last two events. Always pleasant to be around. He actually did all the photography for like nothing. He just came to do that. I mean, the guy is just a super nice guy, and he kind of does anything kind of for his friends. It seems like he's very loyal in that way. I'm the same way. When you see one of your friends get beat up like this, it's really, it's very frustrating, and
then to see the apologies for it, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was, I was really bad when I saw a lot of people saying Andy is a fascist, and so what do you expect? That's what Antifa does. Like, and then that just brought back memories of the conference that we did, and just how loosely the word fascist was thrown around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? That if Andy's a fascist, I mean, I'm like, I was called proto-fascist. What I'm going to
you were?
Yeah.
I guess that means you're like right at the beginning. You're ready to evolve into something else.
So am I a target? I don't know how people who live in a liberal democracy can think that this is a good direction to go down.
Yeah, absolutely. And all it does is force, future events like this. Now I mean, hopefully Portland gets their shit together and they start, really cracking down on this. Now you're going to see more of a militia or like kind of a military version of the police, and is that really what you want? I mean,
well, and that's the other thing. Then the fact that the police weren't there. The Ted Cruz slammed the mayor,
Yeah.
right, for saying, "What are you doing?
right.
We need to investigate you," right? And then he fired out something. But Antifa used the same justification. They're saying, or at least some of the defenders said, "Well, because the police weren't there, Antifa had to act."
Yeah.
Yeah,
like they're protecting us.
Yes, exactly.
Of them not acting. I mean, actually, what was the plan of it? I think that wasn't clear to me. What was the march about? Was there a goal? Was there a thing, or just happened?
That's a good question. One of the things I saw was that both of these factions kind of agreed to meet in the street and brawl it out. And now I don't have anything to cite that right now. Don't quote me on that. But that I was trying to get to the bottom of that too. What was the point of all of this? And Andy's been doing a really good job showcasing that this is becoming more of a common theme in Portland, where you just have like Antifa going out and just harassing regular people that are just driving their car, calling them white supremacists, and people have nothing to do with any of this. They have no idea what's going on. So it'd be interesting. Brian, have you seen anything like, how did this, you said it was the freedom, what was it?
Patriot Prayer.
Patriot Prayer.
So Patriot Prayer is a group. I mean, there's everybody that's defending Andy's attack is calling them a fascist group. I don't think that's a fair characterization. I don't want to like speak or defend the group necessarily because I don't know that much about them, but I do know that they came to different places. They were talking. I watched some of their talks with Antifa. They don't seem fascist. I mean, they seem very anti-identity politics. They seem anti-authoritarian. Now, some of them they come in battle armor. Do
interesting.
That it's there. But they don't strike me as a fascist group. They strike me as a kind of right of center group, but big deal.
Yeah.
What about you, Melissa?
That's the thing that annoys me about these groups that seem to pop up. It's that they're amorphous. I don't know who's a part of it. They have no clear, at least I don't know because I didn't do the research, but I don't know what they really want. So when they're gathering to meet, how much of this is ideology driven? How much of this is just driven by we're not that guy?
Yeah.
How much of it is just economic restlessness? They have a lot of time on their hands and they're just boys without a purpose or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I really don't know these factors kind of like mix together to produce this almost this like tinderbox where all you need is a spark. And it looked like, that's exactly what happened in Portland on Sunday. So I'm not sure. And it's also just time. So like, all three of us, like we have day jobs. We work all the time. And how can I be expected to read every manifesto or watch the volumes and volumes of YouTube videos that they put out? It's like, it's not. So I don't know what they stand, like I can't know everything that they stand for. So let's say, somebody made a fascist statement or somebody made a racist statement or whatever. And somehow maybe you sort of show to the public that you were sympathetic to that side for whatever reason. Oh, they're going to take you down with it. Like, oh, you excused, just this one thing that they said. And it's really a matter of practicality. Like these people are professional commentators, professional, just like shit disturbers. How can we be expected to know everything that they say all the time?
That's a good point. And, we've been around, I brought this up on the last show, ironically, before any of this happened. We were talking about, we've been around activists for years, you included in that, Melissa. And when activists kind of run out of something to fight for, it gets, and with certain individuals, it becomes kind of maddening for them. So they're always looking for something. It's interesting, we all come from the atheist community, Andy included. He was part of the atheist group in college, and it's interesting to kind of see how the atheists have kind of found their new religion, their new battleground, in a sense. It's what it almost looks like with these Antifa groups. they're out there. Most of them don't even know what they're saying. I mean, if you listen to their rhetoric, they're just spouting off and mimicking the others, and they kind of sound like really stupid people because they really don't have a mission or a statement on their own.
Well, they know they hate fascists.
Yeah, but
that's
about it. But like beyond that, it's like they're just out there because they have this angst, this reason they have to fight something. You know, it's kind of what it seems like to me, at least.
I'm so curious. Are these groups, like even Antifa, are they registered? Do they have, you know, any sort of corporate structure? Are they 501? No, right? They're just
no, because they're anarcho-communist in character, so you definitely wouldn't have like a corporate structure. They would hate that.
So it's basically like a real life Google Hangout.
Tim Pool calls it LARPing, live action role playing.
Yeah. Well, and it's almost like the prison hierarchy. It's amorphous. You don't know who's who. Everything communicates just in secret. You know, that's the way they're running.
Yeah, that definitely adds to the problem for sure.
Yeah, I think it's just a bunch of visionless people getting together saying, "Oh, we got to fight something,"
right.
and then they
say they're anti-fascist, but they're using fascist tactics, and so many of their defenders are saying, "Well, at least these people are fighting the fascists. They're like a Dexter, right? They're a serial killer, but they're killing other killers."
Yeah.
So you know, and I think, okay, so if I called myself the anti-Ted Bundy and went out and serial killed, and I say, well, I'm not a serial killer, I'm the anti-Ted Bundy. Come on.
Like kind of
just because your name is Antifa does not mean that you're anti-fascist.
Like Dexter almost. Yeah.
And in Dexter, you're right. Dexter's a great example, but there were episodes where he did kill an innocent person.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Antifa's doing. They have beat down actual alt-righters, but they've also beat down innocent people.
Yeah.
And they get to be the judge and jury. That's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Executioner. Yeah, that's actually what's dangerous. And obviously just how loosely words just evolve as like concept creep today.
Mm-hmm.
And there's in a world where there's no due process, this is just it's just a recipe for complete disaster. I mean, Tim Pool actually thinks this sort of thing will lead to civil war at some point, especially when you make conversation impossible.
Well, civil unrest, it's no doubt. Right? I mean, we don't have battle lines for a civil war, which is weird. I mean, you're the North and the South. You have some sort of battle lines. We really don't. But if we start factionalizing as a country, and we can't go. There's right-wing restaurants, left-wing restaurants, right-wing internet, left-wing internet, left-wing hospitals, and right-wing hospitals. Yeah, I mean, California kicks everybody and makes it hard, and then Indiana is completely Republican. Now we'd have battle lines. That could be bad. I don't think it's there yet, but the civil unrest alone could be pretty bad.
I have a question for you guys on the LGBTQ community in a second, but let me just we got a $5 from the Dashing Rogue. Where was Andy's helmet and protective gear? He received threats from Antifa and did not take the necessary precautions to protect himself. Well, first of all, when you're a journalist, this is your job. You go in and you cover and you document what's going on. Secondly, Andy did have protective gear on. Are we supposed to assume all journalists need to go in the middle of a social justice organization with helmets on? I mean, is that where we're at?
I guess we are. Right? War journalists certainly do. War journalists are Kevlar, and when they embed with the troops, they definitely are decked out. So,
but it's weird too. I mean, you wouldn't want to make yourself look like the Patriot Prayer. People are also wearing like full battle armor.
Yeah,
you wouldn't want to appear. There's a sense of appearing neutral.
Let's just point at the point. I mean, even if he had a helmet on, what are they going to do? They're going to rip off the helmet and use that as a weapon against them. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Well, like you said earlier, have been saying, Andy is just, he walked into the situation and like clearly like he was asking for it. But I mean, I spoke to Andy and Andy never thought this would happen. This is not an outcome that he wanted. I mean, you're playing games with your brain health. Like we don't know how long these injuries will last. We don't know what the consequences of them are, even on his ability to, his livelihood, his well-being, his mental well-being. Why would anyone willingly look into that? And then obviously people are also using the GoFundMe as I think the amount now is like more than 100K, in saying that, well, I'll take a punch for that. Like that is uncharitable guys
Yeah.
like that.
Oh,
You know,
God.
of course, again, Andy is a lot, has a lot of ideological enemies. So I guess I'm not surprised that some people would say that. I mean, when you're
Yeah.
on Twitter, you do see the range of comments. So,
But I think
Yeah, it's sad.
It's
It's
important to
absolutely
stand
sad.
by. Like, there's a lot of people that say, aren't you worried about your job finding out, what you're on the internet and this and that? And I say, yes. So what if they do? I'm not going to back down and in the face of, like, I'm not going to be a coward when people do something wrong. You have to speak out about it. And when people don't, you can run into problems. So I think when you see something, no, I'm not going to shut up.
Yeah,
and,
but
I would encourage other people, like,
Yeah.
to speak your opinion.
Yeah.
Don't let a certain sense of correctness,
Yeah.
stop you when you're asserting your values, and you know what the right thing is. Then say it.
But a lot of people do. A lot of people do let that derail them from their principles. And Andy's a principled guy. He got those threats, and he's like, "I'm still going." And
that's
that should be
he's brave.
Exactly. We should. That should be a point of pride.
Right.
That should
So
be
if
something
he
we
can
call
get
into
in there
question.
and face that down, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's some scary stuff.
Mhm.
I can get out in public, either on Twitter or whatever, or here, and say, he's not a fascist.
Yeah.
They are lying.
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to add, I want to get your guys' opinion on this. Andy, second generation immigrant, gay, openly gay. The LGBTQ community is something we supported for a long time. We still do. We think those that love is love. Everyone has that as a right. Where is the LGBTQ community right now?
I mean, to be fair though, he wasn't beat up because he was gay, right? So
True.
that was the, I do remember asking Andy a long time ago what kind of got him down this path of journalism, of activism, and things like that. And he said it was the Pulse nightclub shooting, where he realized his identity was the reason why, Omar Martin had walked into a club in Orlando and massacred like more than 50 people. So that was a hate crime against, the gay community. And I think most of them actually spoke up. I suspect this is just Andy wasn't beat up because of that. He just happened to be gay. So, I would cut them some slack in terms of why we're not hearing that much noise.
I did hear one of the justifications of him getting beat up was that he is adjacent to white supremacy. So it was the first gay Asian I'd ever heard of being a white supremacist, but it was made to me on Twitter that's in fact happened. So you are also potentially complicit, Melissa, in white supremacy.
That's the thing about these concepts. They just creep. They're like the vortex, and it's gonna suck everybody down.
Yeah.
In the end, it just will.
And that's why we have to, you have to say, I don't believe that. If it's as simple as saying that, I think it's important to make that, because otherwise you let the concept creep.
Yeah.
You're right. Actually, I was worried too. I was worried. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not a YouTuber, not a commentator. I said, I have a job. I have an organization, and it's like I was worried that someone like Andy could be seen as toxic, and maybe I should just not say anything.
Yeah.
But this is your friend. This is somebody, and again, just the principle of it, just the principle of if we don't come out hard against or strongly against this, the precedent this sets.
Yep.
This country would just not be worth living in.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not sure, if you I'm not sure what I think about the opinion, and therefore I'm going to stay quiet, that's fine. If you're not sure, but if you are sure of yourself that this is your opinion, the only reason you're not saying it is because you fear the consequence, that's when you should say it.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced of this, but go ahead, Sean.
No, go ahead.
To fear, they have different circumstances. I mean, maybe you don't have that much cushion, and that job is the job you really need, and your boss tends, might take revenge on you for views that he didn't agree with. So I understand in some cases why people are afraid. I mean, real life at the end of the day is real life, and you Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You still have to put food, you need water. That top part of the pyramid, it's a luxury.
Yeah.
So that, but
I get the fear. I get the fear, but if enough people do it,
Yeah, but
you cannot target everybody, and
I
then
agree.
this stops.
No,
You know,
but I agree. Yeah, I agree with Melissa 100%. Maslow's is one of those things that I don't see brought up often enough. And you have some people that shortcut it. The bottom three are covered by their parents, and then you get some of these organizations that shoot straight to 4 and 5.
Yeah. So here, what the
but
super chat?
yeah, so we got ABK for $100. Thank you very much, ABK. This kind of goes to what you were saying, Melissa. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. MLK, you are doing yourselves proud. Thank you, ABK. That's
a big super chat. Thank you.
It's very, very true. Go ahead, Melissa. Is she still there?
No, I mean, that's a very poignant quote. Really gets at you, you know. So, and I thank you guys for organizing this for Andy. I mean, I'm sure he's, going to be so thankful.
What they say is that you've got to go to your friends' weddings, and you got to go to the funerals, right? You do, and you also have to like speak up when they get beat up. Maybe we can throw that in there. Like, this is ridiculous, and like you've got to speak up for your friends.
And again, that's the thing. Any of the super chats are going straight to the GoFundMe. We will match also the GoFundMe or the super chats that come through. Also, again, the lion's share of our audience is on iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play. So for those that are listening to this, after it's aired, go to the description where you'll see the GoFundMe for Andy and the legal GoFundMe. It's also in this video too. And it's like one of those things where when we were discussing this, it's like you feel so powerless. It's like what can you do? And we obviously don't have the hugest audience. But it's something that we want to give back and to just say, hey, show the support that says, look, Andy is an awesome guy, one of the nicest guys I've ever met, and B, we are here to support. Andy will be in New Jersey, and we'll make sure we're going to give him lots of hugs and a lot of love from us, because this is, again, it's a very traumatizing thing to go through for those that haven't had 10 people beating on you simultaneously.
To get your character assassinated. And so one last thing I just want to mention, one of the other pieces that was cited as some sort of justification for what happened to Andy was a Business Insider piece by Alex Locke, but it's an older one from 2018, August 2. It says the Wall Street Journal ran a cowardly race baiting article on Islamic England. I live there. They're dead wrong. And then he goes after Andy No's report on this.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. You didn't think that it was good. But you can say, guess what? I think Andy No's wrong. His politics suck. He's a bad journalist. I don't like his writing. Yeah. You cannot say that he deserved it in any way, period. And I will not allow these justifications because they're going around on Twitter. And I mean, screw it. I mean, the talk about being adjacent to fascism, that's being adjacent to fascism.
Right. And so, the Barry Weiss pointed this out, that there's almost no daylight between that justification that you just brought up and the justification that some people used to defend the killers of Charlie Hebdo, the people that killed the cartoonists, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's almost no daylight for these two opinions. It's that I actually wholeheartedly disagree. That was a very bad article, just like it's a very bad cartoon. I'm offended. And by the way, just for the record too, I thought that article probably shouldn't have been published. It's a lot of mainstream journalists also had issues with it. Folks that lived in London, folks that worked in the Middle East that said, like, this was, I know it was Andy's observations, but I think there were ways to have made the same point without being so divisive. And I told him that. Many people told him that, but that's his work. That's just something he published. You have friends that you disagree with that have done shitty things in their life, that had gone overboard with a prank, that I don't know, cheated on whatever it was, and that's not a reason. That's not, none of these things are reasons to hope that somebody gets either pummeled in the face and assaulted like that, and probably permanent brain damage.
No. And people are going to make mistakes,
Absolutely.
right? I mean,
We
you're
all do.
going to write a bad article. You're going to make a really bad take at some point. And it's okay to be like, that wasn't one of my better stuff. And guess what? If you critique the article and not assassinate the character, you might actually get the person that wrote the article to say, maybe I need to rethink that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think he did actually. I think he still stands by the article, but he did do a lot of self introspection when that happened.
Yeah. And the other thing is too, let's be real. Andy's mid-20s, in his 20s. I mean, if some of the stuff I said when I was in my mid-20s was out there, I mean, you guys, it would be a completely different situation. I mean, again, this is someone that's growing up and maturing and learning, and you can't expect perfection from any of these people. I mean, people make mistakes, they say stupid things. That's just their nature.
All right. And I mean, it's how many journalists have incorrectly used the term alt-right on whatever disaffected liberal, centrist, garden variety conservative or libertarian all the time. Did they get thrown to the wolves? Not often.
But they know what they're doing when they make these accusations. They know that most people don't check. It's like, let's say you have a really gossipy friend in high school, and it's like, oh yeah, that person over there, total slut or total asshole. You're not going to check. You're gonna, that person's label somewhat sticks in your mind, and nobody has all the time in the world every day to just like go through this. That's why these labels are so, they're just, they're toxic, right? Like labels like Islamophobe or alt-right, or they hardly mean anything anymore, or even racist. Like that's scary, because when the real racists come, word you already, boy who cried wolf, they're not going to believe you.
Exactly.
Changing the definition, right? We've changed the definition of the word racist, right? And then we've added terms like colorist that, it's still hard to figure out what they mean. And I mean, maybe they've changed the definition of fascist. I don't know. I hope they haven't.
Right.
They could.
Well, they did add modifiers like proto and crypto fascist.
Yeah, I know.
What's the difference between a proto and a crypto?
I know. I saw that too. I was thinking the same thing.
Wait, proto would be like budding, like, but crypto is undercover, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
So I proto, because that means I could still be turned away.
Right.
Crypto.
But you could be crypto proto. You could be like, disguised fetus, budding fetus.
Right, you're right.
Fascist. It's ridiculous, and for being anti-fascist, yes, they're using fascist tactics, shutting down speaks, intimidating, and then saying, one of the justifications, you see number 5, they chased him away several times before they beat the crap out of him. Like that's, wow. You're so magnanimous, dude.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, it's really just saying, I warned the bitch that she didn't stop nagging me, I'd hit her in the face.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the same justifications.
Straight to the moon, Alice.
That you would, the wife beating are the same justifications here. And I wonder if these people look in the mirror, or what you're saying, Melissa, they know exactly what they're doing. And
they know. I think.
Is that what I know? I heard some people saying that there were some of the activist groups that we just need to move everybody over one. Like if there's 7 different columns of people from right to left, that you just need to shift them over one, and that they're doing that to gain the upper hand. So there's a certain amount of activists that just don't care about lying. They want to win the war. Like that mustard gas. We don't care about the Geneva Convention. If it wins, it wins. I mean, what do you think? Is that conspiracy theory or real?
The bigger and stronger your enemy is, the more you can sort of corral your base and sort of activate your base. I mean, it's a very standard political tactic, right? It's if you just paint the situation as this is dire, look at the enemy, there's just so many racists out there. This is also partly why a lot of people on the extreme right and left actually didn't like what Steven Pinker wrote about in Enlightenment Now, that the world is actually getting better, because this is actually completely directly eats into that thesis, right? I was actually speaking about what you were saying, the coverage of Andy's attacks, like from the likes of CNN and like some articles, like the way, even the New York Times, the way they were writing these articles was was very telling. It's like, you know, he claims that allegedly things like that they were putting in that was sort of it. You can see the narrative that they were trying to spin, even after the fact. I mean, and this was not, you know, a crime that was undocumented. That was actual video evidence of this. It's, you know, I understand if there wasn't, but the way a lot of the mainstream press was writing about it still leaves much to be desired, even if some of their counterparts condemned it.
Yeah. Well, so, and it was interesting too to see like the left and the right words they use in the headlines. Like the left, you'd see conservative journalists. On the right, you'd see like QLET journalist, QLET writer. It was interesting to kind of see the play on words. And you're right, you did see some jabs from the New York Times and things like that. And I caught this one interview where I'm forgetting the guy's name, but he was advocating that this was no different than Jussie Smollett. And you know, everyone believed Jussie Smollett until they didn't, type of thing. And he didn't understand the difference between having video footage and not.
There were some people that were straight up denying the attack.
Yeah.
And saying, well, I don't think we can conclusively, it's alleged. I'm going to wait for more evidence to come out to see if he was actually beat up.
That's scary.
Not wrong, to be fair. That's not terrible to wait for evidence before you condemn anything.
Sure.
You know, I rarely react in real time to tragedies like that, but in this case, I actually got a text from the source itself, and I personally know Andy to be not the kind of person that lies, and you know, so I was willing to go public a lot earlier and condemning this, but generally, no, I think it's a good thing to wait. It's pretty clear what happened now, like more than 24 hours after the event, but to phrase things in such a way as to seek doubt or to assassinate his character, that's what's troubling. Again, it's the disparity, and then when you have, you know, the other side, I suppose, the side that's already skeptical about mainstream media and things like that, when they see that they're not honest about it, like, you know, it's gonna cause a bigger rift.
Right.
And
so
that's
the New York Times is right on something, they're gonna think, yeah, they lie about everything.
And yeah, I hate that kind of lack of nuance, because obviously the New York Times is a big organization. Maybe one journalist said something, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? But people can't resist this. It just feeds, it's ammunition. What happened, Andy, and the reaction to.
Nope. I think we might
What happened, Andy?
might have had a little snafu.
But that was good. I mean, we're kind of getting ready to wrap up.
Well,
here, right?
no, she'll pop back. I think it's just her connection. But yeah, it was very telling for me, like seeing people still standing by their statement that, oh, these are alleged attacks, even after they've seen the video.
Right. But if you would ask the same people, okay, let's say that's an alleged attack, but if he was beat up by these people, then is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
And then you get well,
yeah,
you know.
Wait, what was
so
hey, Melissa, hold on. Melissa, are you back?
Yes.
Yeah, she's back. Yep. Sorry, Melissa, we probably missed the last.
So what
10
we
seconds.
were quick saying is that, you know, there were some people that, you know, were saying, well, I want to wait for more evidence. But okay, well, we'll concede, well, that's an alleged attack at this point. But if he were attacked, would you know, is that a bad thing? Would you condemn it? And then you're like, well, okay, well, now if you're going to mitigate on that, now I'm not going to think that your doubt of this, you know, that the attack existed is genuine. Because there's so many people who want to defend Antifa no matter what, because they really think that these are the last freedom fighters. Without Antifa scaring fascists, that we would have fascists running around and that somehow we would be raising a swastika over the White House within like a year. And that's just fantasy land. But I do believe that some people are so just riled up that that's what they think. I mean, do you blame our media for that? And again, both sides. You could do the same thing about the caravan coming up from the south of the border on Fox News, and you could do the exact same thing about fascist in the Huffington Post.
Oh,
I think the underlying issue here is the reciprocal sort of radicalization, like you know, just one group causing the other group to sort of radicalize a bit more, and then they are also, you know, doing the same, and it's just this loop that's that's going on. And I don't know. I mean, are people tracking? What are the numbers? What are the enrollment numbers of both sides? Are they increasing? Who is participating? These are questions that we don't. At least I don't know the answer to. But it seems kind of salient. Like I think we should know these answers, right? Like what exactly is happening, and like to deny that there is a propensity of violence when we've actually seen clear-cut evidence for it, and still support the group. I think that is completely myopic.
Yeah.
When you see like they've already shown you who they are. They've pummeled a guy, and it's who happens to be our friend. They pummeled a guy.
The thing is, they're saying, well, but Andy was there to agitate, not
Right.
report. He was to dox. That he's in a faux reporter role. It'd be like somebody who was going to bomb the plane is in a faux passenger role. Now, okay, fine, but if this was a N of one and Andy was the only person to ever get beat up, maybe that has some legitimacy. But Antifa is on record for threatening tons of journalists, men and women from tons of news outlets.
Well, even the next day, more people got beaten. I mean, one guy we saw the crowbar, the older gentleman just got annihilated with the crowbar. And I just want to point out too, Andy's legal defense is going to be seeking justice for those individuals as well, which is really, really awesome.
Some guy that got like a ton of stitches on top of his head.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, my question to you guys is this. So we talked about Maslow's. My theory is that most of the population, at least the majority, are in the first three levels where they're not paying attention to the culture war. We pay attention, we dabble, obviously we do things within it. So we're kind of more up to date with some of the stuff. Does something like this start getting to the masses that typically don't pay attention to this type of stuff? What do you guys think?
It's so easily weaponized, the story. I think the majority of the majority of Facebook users, people who get their news from Facebook, it's going to be the older population. It's actually not the younger population. And I think it will seep out. I mean, of course, Fox News was on this. You would see probably more right-leaning, publications initially reporting on this. But this is a story that's very, just like the campus protest stuff, is very easy to weaponize. It clearly paints your ideological enemies, and from the right's perspective, that's the leftists. It can be used to paint them in such a way that, oh look, we've been telling you they're so prone to violence, right? And everyone is wanting to keep that scorecard. It's like the same way when there is a terrorist attack or there's a shooting, we're all just waiting, like you can sense this on Twitter. It's just like people are waiting. I hope it's not Alpha Guy. I hope I hope it's a neo-Nazi, or I hope it's somebody who is an like everyone's just waiting for that person, the perpetrator, to just be something that they can use to say, see, I told you the other guys are the worst people in the world.
So so what I think you're saying is, even though Antifa is clearly in the wrong here, that we need to resist the urge to take this bad instance as a whole, and then demonize a larger body called the left, or even progressives, or whomever.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I mean, we should demonize one group, and that's Antifa. The problem is that, again, so little is known about them. But then if you support Antifa, well, you should at least, if someone's going to come at you with the moral argument that you're wrong, like that's perfectly, valid. Of course you're wrong to support Antifa in this case. Like, situational ethics, like they acted, with violence at target an innocent man.
Yeah. Well, they were doing the same things. I mean, they'd rip people out, directing traffic in the streets. There were like 3 or 6 months ago, there was a shooting, a police shooting, and Antifa was out protesting. They were directing traffic, and then people kind of running the block were at their own risk. They're getting pulled out of cars.
Well, what's even scarier to me too is like the more you see and the more this escalates. And Tim hits on this a lot. You're starting to see incremental escalation, and what's sad is the human empathy is gone. In this mob rule, like if in any other situation, if someone sees someone getting jumped by 10 people, there's you would hope Most people want to do something to help or intervene, but when the mob rule takes hold, like it's screw the individual, it's about the gang, the group, and it's completely gone.
But
and that's
even
what
within the gang, there's the most violent, and then there's the people that are almost normal. I mean, shit, the
Yeah.
one person does cite that was an Antifa member that eventually did kind of think, okay, he's had enough, and get him out of there. That it's sort of an act of kindness by somebody that's already a perpetrator.
Yeah, if that's what happened, I don't know,
But what I'm saying is everybody in the mob, there may be non-violent people in the mob, and then a heck of a lot of violent people. So you're right. You couldn't necessarily convict necessarily all of Antifa, but what happened here and people in that mob, yeah, that's pretty bad.
You can. Yeah, I think you can. Well, Melissa, I know it's late out there by you. Thanks for joining us. Again, we're gonna any of the super chats that we have, we're gonna donate to Andy's GoFundMe. We'll match it, and like I said, we take this stuff very seriously because obviously we run events, and when we see violence like this break out, it's very scary for us. And we want to do everything that we can to help curb this. This is just insanity, and it doesn't need to be,
Right.
like again, if you
Talk
don't
it out,
yeah,
don't
if you
fight
don't
it out.
if you don't agree with the people that are down the block, why are you
That's right.
even why
Yeah.
are you there? I mean,
we
this
got
is,
through it on Twitter a ton today, but no one got hurt.
Right. But I was just saying, like, you guys have been, you've experienced that firsthand, right? Organizing events and people calling in bomb threats or making accusations that you're really running some sort of Nazi boot camp or something, and then calling the police in, knowing the kind of disruption you can have, and did actually in the last year's case.
Yeah.
It's like a asymmetric warfare situation, right?
Yeah.
But it's important to not lose sight of your principles, like you said. Like you cannot say, well, they're doing it, therefore we're justified in doing it.
Yeah. And as long as Andy's recovery works out to where he can still make it to New Jersey, again, we're gonna meet him with love and hugs. And that guy, again, we love that guy. Didn't deserve this. Nobody deserves this. But out of all the people, Andy did not deserve this. Someone holding up a camera. I'm sorry you got offended because he's pointing out the illegal things that you guys are doing. That's what journalism is. And so what was that, Melissa?
Even if it's not illegal, he's documenting things that are happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Andy was. I just hope somebody's there for him physically, like to look after him. I mean, you saw the CNN clip. He's a little spacey. He's slurring his speech. It looks like he didn't lose consciousness at any point. So it's it's not the worst situation, but it sounds to me that I just hope he has somebody with him.
Yeah,
agreed.
And that it's smooth sailing from there.
Agreed. And that's again why we want to do this, just show some support. And
he is not a fascist. I'm just going to say that as a final thing. Like I think everyone knows that, but I just like to say that out loud because I don't like the smears, and I want to counter it.
And I love seeing people that have never met him, know nothing about him, espousing this. And then that's even more frustrating for me. So, Melissa, thanks again for joining us. We'll talk soon. We'll definitely see you in New Jersey as well. Really excited to have you back. And again, this type of violence has to stop. This is ridiculous.
Yep.
So again, thank you everyone for joining in all the super chats. We'll make sure Andy gets
very gracious. Thanks.
And again, everyone on iTunes, go into the show description. All links will be there to support Andy. He's gonna need, people say 150,000. That's a drop in the bucket, man. Especially when you're talking about legal fees. That stuff racks up really quickly. So,
Rucka just join us.
Rucka.
Hey guys.
What's going on? We're about ready to get off. We hop on.
You guys see that guy get his ass
kicked? All I saw was forehead.
Oh, Rucka. Rucka.
There he goes.
What is that? Tragedy plus time equals comedy, Rucka?
And Rucka, you were in Arizona with us with Andy, and we hung out like the whole time. I mean, you can definitely say Andy's not a fascist and he deserved this.
I can say no such thing.
What can you say, Rucka?
What can you say, Rucka?
Listen, there's multiple sides to every story. We weren't really there.
There's fine people on both
You
sides.
know, everybody has their opinions. Can we just kind of agree on? Listen, you guys are supposed to be so tolerant, so just kind of, you know, play it cool and wait for the facts to be revealed. There you go. See,
that was very diplomatic. Although there is video evidence, Rucka. So
you know what else had video evidence?
What's that?
What was it?
The moon landing.
The moon landing.
Oh boy. Oh, boy.
Declaration. No.
Rucka's hanging out with a bunch of flat earthers now on YouTube. Is that flat earthers?
No, he's just hanging around with a bunch of objectivists.
Well, Rucka, thanks for joining in the absolute last possible minute.
Yeah. Hey, you guys finally got rid of that Dimitri guy, huh?
No, no, he's around.
He's around somewhere.
He's around somewhere. Oh, there he is in the chat. He's talking about how much Ayn Rand was wrong right now in the chat. All right. Well, we're gonna cut it.
She was no myth-informed live stream of greatest hits, all stars. But
can you Rucka? Can you quick commune with Ayn Rand, like through some medium, and get her opinion on what just happened to Andy?
I'm hoping she could deliver me some better punchlines than the same one you keep repeating over and over. Hold on.
So something more important than Rucka. Robert McLeod, thanks, $10. Stay strong, Andy. Thank you.
Hey, listen, please, everybody, if you have any cash, if you have anything to spare, the economy's been doing better lately. We can really use your support.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys can afford it. I'm in Detroit. I'm in Detroit right now.
We're in the D.
We're in the D.
It's so cold in
the D.
All right.
Him?
What's that, Melissa?
Rucka's dog behind. Your dog.
Yeah, we got to deal with Rucka on stage.
Yeah, what's
Jersey.
behind you?
It looks like a dog.
It's actually a porcupine.
Yeah.
Oh.
Please don't insult. Don't declare.
Oh
don't
my God! It's
assume
albino.
the species of my dog.
Not an albino. You're an albino.
It's a mock. It's like a mock. That's what
Listen. What? How do you pronounce Andy Ngo? How do you
Andy, no.
Andy, no.
You-
More like
you-
Andy. I said no means no.
Listen.
Oh my God.
So anyway,
Yes.
to Andy No's fraternal twin here on the chat with us. I realize everyone looks like an albino when you're Asian, but
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Andy and I had the same haircut before. It was hard to tell us apart.
yeah, I had that same problem many, many times.
Was that your statement, Rucka? That was it?
Me and Denzel, we always
Yeah.
the same haircut.
Yeah. That was your statement?
What was my statement?
I don't know.
Andy.
You were winding up and then you just lost steam. To Andy, no, you were
No,
saying.
he said no means no.
Oh, no means.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's actually kind
And
of.
all that was leading up so that I could make the point about her calling the dog an albino.
Oh.
I thought race didn't matter.
I thought race didn't matter to you guys, but apparently that's all you think about.
What the hell?
Anytime you're on the stream, Rucka, that's all that we end up
All
talking
I can
about.
say is I looked at your chat room before I joined in. You
Yeah.
got some of the smartest audience maybe ever, like just political philosophers of the
Yeah.
ages all in one chat room. I'm really impressed.
Yeah. No, thanks. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. I'll take that as a compliment.
The chat will take that as a
Absolutely.
compliment.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Well, we were winding down, Rucka. So
Winding down. Hold on. We got money to raise. How much money has been raised for Andy No?
It's a decent amount. There was a 90. 50.
why
Let me
are
quick do,
you gonna
some
match?
adding.
Are you matching, Rucka? Rucka wants to keep going. Well,
Matching. I mean, I'm getting a
Melissa,
cut of it,
feel
right?
free to pop out at any time. Especially now that Rucka's here, you know, it's kind of sticking up the
The
joint.
shit show has begun, right?
$200.
Like 177.
Yeah,
Well,
Almost
we'd have to
$200.
convert the New Zealand money. But,
and we're matching that, Rucka. So what are you ready to throw down?
Play guts. Sorry.
what do they use over? What's a New Zealand card? Is it dollars or is it like Kiwis or something?
No, I think it's the New Zealand
Yeah.
dollar.
New Zealand? I think they do.
Well, you are the journalist.
Journalist.
What?
All right.
Nope.
I think Rocco's telling me to just Wikipedia that.
I'm gonna be there.
So Rocco, what are you ready to throw down? You ready to throw some sweet YouTube money down?
Yeah, listen. I
I
just
know you
got-
made a bunch off of Ben Shapiro's back the last month.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The way my channel was demonetized. Really,
Yeah.
really just worked out great for me.
All right, I'm gonna pop out. It is late here.
Okay,
And
Melissa, have a good night.
I will
All
see
right.
all of you in next month,
See you guys. Yep,
Hope
next
so.
month.
August. Yeah. Bye.
Yep. Bye. See ya. See, you know, Rocco, this is what you do. You come in and you just scare all the smart people away.
No.
I see how it is.
No. Sing a song.
I know the
Compose a song for
unspoken,
Andy.
hatred between
Oh,
the
yeah.
blacks and the Asians.
Do you hear that? Compose a song for Andy.
Yeah, Rocco, let's get on this.
I've composed about a dozen songs for Andy. They're they star one DJ Not Nice.
DJ Not Nice.
Hi, guys.
Can we hear
All
it?
right, have a good night, Melissa.
All right. Hope
I'm
you
gonna-
don't get
DJ Not Nice.
deported.
do like a freestyle rap.
I don't get it. Well, who's DJ Not Nice? What's the?
Call me DJ Not Nice. I eat no food but rice. God, you guys are ignorant. Fucking Kim Jong Un. How about that? Have you heard?
Okay, so you. I gotcha.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, fucking normies and boomers.
Serious-
all of you.
serious
That's
Mormons.
what we are, man. We don't. We keep it real. This is a
Keep
boomer.
it real, real dumb. Yo, I think my best zinger of the night was Andy No. More like Andy No means no. Everyone
Yeah.
got a big oh out of everyone.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. That was
With
really
But
good.
in this new environment, yes
So-
means yes.
So, Rocco, what are you up to right now? Where you at? What's
I'm
going
in Detroit. We're streaming or preparing to. Are we live?
We're live. Yeah,
I'm actually simulcasting right now.
You're
We're-
simulcasting on another show.
Yeah, we're on
That's hilarious.
Punch and Pie. So everyone, if you guys are about to wrap this up, is that true? Are you guys done?
Yeah.
Well, now that you showed up, we're definitely rapping.
Oh.
Wow.
Ouch! That's
Rapping
That
with
was,
a
that was
W.
almost as killer as the Ayn Rand song,
Oh,
zinger before.
rapping with a W.
There wasn't a weird zinger. I'm like, I'm just curious what.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, it's the worst fucking game ever played. This shit. Let's
Yeah.
unlikely.
Hey, we are streaming Lethal Weapon for Nintendo on the Punch and Pie channel. So if you guys want to keep supporting Andy, I know the place for you to go. It's
Yeah, oh,
Punch
yeah.
and Pie channel on YouTube. We are going to be playing games. We are going to be telling you what really happened in Portland.
Oh, I'm actually gonna
Well,
tune in
thank
for
them,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Kick ass.
gotta definitely see. And Detroit is not a friendly city by any
That's
means.
not
You don't know
true.
anything.
You know nothing.
Detroit.
You've been here.
You know nothing,
Yeah,
Jon
you
Snow.
ain't been to Detroit.
You know nothing.
I've actually have been, and I'm
Hey.
not a fan.
Hi, Greg.
Not a fan.
Brian, Brian,
That's why.
aren't
That's
you a
why you
doctor?
and Dima
What's
left.
that?
I'm a doctor too.
You're a doctor, right?
No, I work in the medical field. Not a doctor though.
Oh, I was gonna ask, how badly did Andy get fucked up in that video?
Well, they said what they said when I read that he had a brain bleed and he has a smaller subarachnoid hemorrhage, so it's a brain bleed. So you actually do have a tear in the tissue, but not all ones are surgical. So if you have a larger tear and you have a larger bleed, then you got to do with it. So some you just watch.
Yeah, dude, this
I,
thing sucks.
I haven't seen his stuff, and even if I did, I'd probably be under HIPAA regulations. But you can have small brain bleeds that
Oh, I'm aware.
aren't as serious. But I mean, all brain bleeds are serious, but that doesn't mean they're operable. You have to.
Stop it.
I mean, if he did,
I see.
my guess is
Stop it.
he wouldn't have been on CNN. He would have
Oh my
been on
God.
TV. So
Did you get all that, Rocco?
he got a really, really bad head knock. That any harder could have been really serious.
Sounds like he'll be fine. Anyway, guys, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you, everyone, for your donations. I'm actually about to go dedicate my full attention to this Punch and Pie live stream here. We are playing video games. Some of the
Lethal
most
Weapon.
interesting retro throwbacks I've ever seen. What is this? Adventure Island?
No, this is Lester the Unlikely.
Lester the Unlikely. Sounds like Lester
The
the
Molester.
Molester.
Lester the Molester.
The video game. Alone on an island. And
Going to molest.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, Rocco, thanks again for coming, man.
What the hell is
Thanks for
happening
having
right
me,
now?
fellas. Looking
Well-
forward to seeing you guys in New Jersey.
We'll see you in Jersey, man.
romantic capital of the East Coast.
Yes.
For sure. For
Mhm.
sure. Then thanks everyone for joining again for all the
Thanks for
super,
the super
chats.
chats.
Yeah, just do me a favor, guys. Keep those
Yeah.
Asians away from me. You know.
Ooh, they're scary.
With that, we will sign off. Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Have a good night.